My name's Dan, which you probably could have inferred. This is Dan Reacts. This is a viewer's choice video given to me by the community on my Patreon page, which is mostly sports related. But I launched this channel back in January, did a couple album reviews. It went dormant because I went full-time with content creation in another genre, but I'm back. The way I'm going to approach this, and you can see right there, it's my 10 favorite guitar solos. We see top 10 lists all the time. We see Rolling Stone every year, I think, comes out with their massive list. I think they go top 100 guitar solos of all time. Guitar Player Magazine does their top guitar solos of every single year. And what I find frustrating about those lists is they try to come up with the list of best ever. And it's such a subjective category, and people get so emotional about it that all that ends up usually happening is a bunch of arguments afterwards. That's why I did this one the way that I did it. It's not the 10 best guitar solos, in my opinion, of all time. It's my 10 favorite, which is still probably the same kind of thing, but you can't argue with me because they're my favorites. So what I have done here is I've prepared 10 of these. I'm going to play pieces of them, at least. We'll see how that goes with YouTube, but the channel's not monetized yet, so it should be fine. If you like what you see, hit that thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, help me grow this, because I really, really do. As much as my full-time job is talking about football, rock music's a passion of mine, live music's a passion of mine, guitar is a passion of mine. Can't wait to get into this. I hope you enjoy. This is Dan Reacts. I wasn't going to rank these. I was just going to present my 10 favorite guitar solos. But then I thought, you know what? I might as well rank them while I'm at it. It was fun for me. I hope you enjoy it too. And then I have a bonus, like an honorable mention, I guess, at the end. All right, let's start with number 10. Before I even get into this, if you can already recognize what it is, I have some philosophies about guitar solos. I love them all. I tend to not like the ones that are just filling the air with as many notes as possible just for the sake of it. I don't mind shredding, and there's elements of shredding in these 10 solos, but it has to serve the song, elevate the song in some cases, and serve the melody. It's an extension of the song. It's not just, hey, see how fast I can play. I almost put a clip together from Vinnie Vincent's very first album, the Invasion album, where it was just ridiculous. The solo served no purpose. It was just shredding. This particular solo of the 10 is probably the slowest, the most basic, the most sparse collection of notes, but it serves the song so well. It serves the melody, and it's memorable. And I would argue it's one of the most memorable parts of an iconic song from one of the most iconic rock bands of all time. This, of course, is the guitar solo from Detroit Rock City, which isn't just Ace Frehley. Rest in peace. It was a rough day a couple of months ago, but also Paul Stanley, of course, playing so great. I think that was taken from their Dodger Stadium show. I want to say 98. It was one of their reunions. I think it was their first show back with Ace in quite a while. I don't know. Some of that timeline gets lost. They had so many reunions. Just, again, just not, there's no shredding there. It's not about how fast you are. It's not about, you know, look at me. It's just, it's a melodic line. It's the tone of Ace's guitar. I absolutely love it. You're going to see a lot of Les Paul sunbursts featured pretty prominently in this list. Of course, I have my favorites. Some people repeat in this thing, but that's just one that I stuck with. And by the way, when I was putting this list together, I stressed about it for about a week. And then I just gave myself a break and decided I was just going to go first and foremost from my gut. And I just opened a Word file and started typing songs off the top of my head that I thought of. That's what a memorable solo is to me. When I can just sit and think about songs and go, okay, this one. I had to shift some things around near the end, but this was Detroit Rock City was one of those that I just knew right off the bat that I was going to have to play. All right, number 9. And this is a guy, well, you're going to see him more than once on this list. Before I let this go, sometimes, and this is just a favorite thing of mine, and there's 2 examples in this top 10 list. Sometimes the best guitar solo is an outro. It's not in the middle of the song, and it takes the song home. This is a good example of that. This is Mark Tremonti and his solo band, Tremonti, finishing out If Not For You. Not a long one, but man, it just leaves, it finishes the song out on such a great note. It kind of adds a soaring element to it. You know, it's a kind of a slower, brooding, sort of plodding tempo, but it's a very heavy song. And then to finish with like this big melodic outro like that, you know, Tremonti kind of showing off different elements of his chops there. Spoiler alert, you'll see him again, as well as this next guy. I have this next band, I have absolutely rediscovered my love for them. I was aware of them. I liked them back in the day, even saw them live. They opened for Motley Crue on the Dr. Feelgood tour. Might have given it away. Some of you might have figured it out already. But simply one of the greatest guitar player / lead singers, I think, ever to do it. One of the most underrated bands with one of the greatest catalogs from that entire genre and all the subgenres that go along with it. Number 8 is it's a song called Forever from the band Y&T and Dave Meniketti. One of the things that I love about this solo, and I love solos like this, and again, there's a couple more examples of this, are solos that kind of have 2 or 3 different lives within them. It's not just the same kind of melodic line all the way through. It's not just 30 seconds of shredding. You know, what he's basically doing here is just playing a riff. It's a riff that was embedded in the song, and he's just kind of extending that. And then it builds, and then he takes that riff and he adds different layers to it, you'll see. And then he kind of just takes it upon himself to finish it out in more of a traditional solo after that. Different layers to it. Enjoy. He just plays so casually too. I mean, I've never seen anybody sling the guitar around, run around the stage, do different gymnastics and gyrations with the guitar, and be able to play stuff like that, play it cleanly. It's amazing. He's still going strong in his 70s, still touring with Y&T. His voice is held up remarkably well. Still sounds almost as good as he used to. Doesn't run around as much like that anymore, but just a really good example of how he's such a great songwriter, and his solos just, they fit. They're part of the songwriting process. You never feel like, and there's a solo in almost every single song. You know, some bands that have great guitar players, it's frustrating as a guitar fan that, you know, some songs just won't include a solo. I remember, you know, I'm wearing a Creed shirt right now, and Mark Tremonti's featured pretty prominently in this list, but Creed wasn't a solo band. In fact, when he formed Alter Bridge, I kind of thought, well, that's new. The first time I saw him do a solo, it's like, is he developed as a guitar player? I just always thought of him as a rhythm player. But that was just because Creed that was a decision they made as a band. They just weren't going to feature solos as much. But Y&T, every single song you could count on a Dave Meniketti solo. It was always great. He could shred. He could play melodically. I always thought he was like a great mix between like Neil Schon. They're both from the Bay Area, and like Yngwie Malmsteen. Like they could both kind of, and he was very highly influenced by Jimi Hendrix. Big fan of his. He was a big fan of Jimi Hendrix. So just really like that one. It was hard. I had to go through 15, 20 Y&T songs to pick the one that I liked the most, because that's how good Meniketti is. All right, back to Tremonti on this one. I promise not all of the videos are just these two guys. This is from an Alter Bridge song called Bleed It Dry. And what I like about this video that I found is Mark does this quite often, especially when he's ramping up to tour with Alter Bridge again after he's had a break and hasn't played the material in a while. And that's the case now. They just came out with a new record on Friday that I haven't listened to yet, because I'm going to do a full album review later this week for their 8th studio album, I believe. But this is him doing the song Bleed It Dry in his home studio, playing along with the core track. So good, right? You think it's going to be this slow, meandering little ditty, kind of a break in tempo and intensity, and then he kicks that wah-wah pedal on and just takes it to another level. This next one might surprise you a little bit. This is from smack dab in the hair band days, late 80s. This band had some pop sensibilities, and when I go back and listen to their material now, it doesn't hold up that well. It's not because of the songwriting necessarily, but the production value of their albums was just so thin. Just kind of, they sort of sound like demos, to be honest with you. But the lead guitar player is one of the most underrated players of the last 40 years. And it's because after this band dissolved, he just got out of the music business, and he's been a hermit ever since. And hardly anyone has heard from him since. But this is Vito Bratta playing in White Lion, and this is their biggest hit, Wait. But this solo has stuck with me. It's memorable to this day. I mean, this is one that I instantly knew had to be on my list. so good. You just don't get solos like that in basically a pop song, you know? He was accused back in the day of kind of ripping off Eddie Van Halen. He did a lot of hammer on and hammer offs and tapping, but it was just a small part of his repertoire, if you will. Like, you just go back and listen to their material, and just the riffs, the intro riffs and some of that stuff was really complex, and lots of memorable solos like this. Next one is another ballad. If you haven't figured it out already, I'm a big sucker for melody, right? And there's so much room to express yourself as a guitar player in a ballad. You're not getting drowned out. You don't feel like you have to keep up with the drums and the bass and rise above them. You get center stage and you get to kind of take it wherever you want to. This is a great example of that. One of my favorite rock ballads from that genre, and I think most of you would agree with this. And this band's known mostly for the vocal gymnastics of their incredible lead singer, but the guitar playing was pretty damn good in this band too, both rhythm and lead. This is Scotty Hill playing the solo to I Remember You by Skid Row. And I found a live version of this from a huge festival they did back in the day. So here it is, number 2.
Will I sleep,
I like that it did the breakdown here. See, a solo doesn't have to be super long to be good or to be an all-timer. It has to be memorable. Number 4 on this list is a great example of that. It is one of the most iconic songs in rock and roll history. I think it's the signature song for this band. This is a Hall of Fame band, one of the greatest bands ever to do it. They set records for ticket sales and attendance and album sales and everything else. A lot of people, when they think of this song, probably think of the intro, or they just think of the song itself. It's very emotional, but it's the solo for me because it elevates the song. The song kicks in on the solo and goes to a whole nother level, and you will not forget this solo. It's Richie Sambora, Wanted Dead or Alive, Bon Jovi. This is so underrated. He really is. So good. I know I'm saying that after every single one, right? Okay, we have 3 left. This one's another outro. And I knew I was going to have a Neil Schon solo in here somewhere. One of the most influential guitar players in my lifetime. Someone that I spent a lot of time trying to play guitar like, and then finally realized that was an exercise in futility. Guy can play metal, and he can play jazz, and he can play the softest, most beautiful love song, and he can play really hardcore. I mean, if you go back and you listen to some of the stuff he did with Hagar and HSAS and with Jan Hammer, But then you go back and he's 15 years old touring with Santana, playing that kind of stuff. But this is a ballad, basically. It's a little bit of a faster tempo than ballads usually are, but it's one of Journey's most iconic Steve Perry sung ballads, and it's an outro, and it's a long one, but it again serves the song, takes the song to a new place, and finishes it on a beautiful note. This is Neil Schon on Who's Crying Now by Journey. At one time when I used to spend a lot of time trying to play guitar in my younger days, I had the first part of this down. And then it gets to a point, you'll see, where, I just couldn't hang anymore. I will say this: among my top 10, I also have some of the elite all-time guitar faces, facial expression makers, expressors, emoters, guitar emoters. Neil Schon's got some great guitar face there. What I love about a really good guitar solo or intro or outro sometimes is you can hear the vocal line. Like you could take, it almost sounds like a demo, and he's playing the vocal line on his guitar, that da, na, 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 na. You can picture someone singing that melody line. I always look for stuff like that on, and Neil actually has produced a number of instrumental albums, all guitar, and that's how he'll play his songs. And so I wonder if that was kind of his thought process going through this. All right, down to the final two, my two favorite, and these are both a little bit longer. They have one thing in common, though, and that is that they kind of start one way and they finish another way. This next one I'm going to play for you, it's another Y&T song. It's maybe my favorite work that Dave Meniketti has ever done, and that's saying something. Like, it's been 3 or 4 months since I kind of rediscovered them again, and I made a playlist for myself on Spotify of every single album they ever did, and I've been listening to it for 3 straight months. Like, even though I didn't get around to it till like November, like they popped up in my Spotify Wrapped. That's how much ground I made up at the end of the year. But this one, there's actually 2 solos. It's a slower song. And he goes, it's about an 8-minute song. And at about the 2.5-minute mark, you're going to hear this first part of the solo. It's much slower. He kind of does some cool tricks on the guitar using the volume knob. It's a really neat little feature that he's used in other songs before as well. He uses the on-off, the toggle switch sometimes too, to create a cool effect. So this first one's a little bit slower, and it just kind of takes the song, it just kind of keeps the song in the pocket that it was in. And then he comes back and sings like another verse and another chorus, and then he goes into another solo that ramps it up and increases the intensity a little bit. And so you'll notice a clean break there, kind of in the middle, and a little transition that I do. But this is the song's called "I Believe in You." This is the live version. Couldn't find a video of him doing this song to my liking because it was so long ago. There's lots of videos of him doing it in the last 10 years, but it's just not the same. And this is my favorite live version of it because this one also evolved. If you go back to, I think it's on Earthshaker, their very first record, and you listen to "I Believe in You," the studio version, when he's singing, it's much more subdued and he doesn't play little licks. But by the time you'll hear here as he's singing, going into it, you might not hear it actually. I can't remember where I did the edit. But he's noodling and doing all these little licks and fills while he's singing. So talented. But in the studio, he doesn't do that. I like kind of the live version. It became a staple of theirs live. And this is sort of the kind of the signature version that it evolved into. And they still play it this way to today. All right. So that's the break. Goes back into singing the verse and another chorus, right? There's a lot of Dave Meniketti signatures kind of wrapped into that one. And this might have made my list even if that was just the solo by itself, because to illustrate that, like, again, you don't have to fill the air with notes. Like, you can be slow and push the melody. But like early in that thing, if you thought you were hearing him using this, so I wish I could have found a video that I liked. If you thought he was using a whammy bar to get that tremolo, right? To get that vibrato. Nope. That's just the sustain of his guitar. I think it's a 68 Starburst Les Paul. That was his favorite go-to. He still owns that guitar to this day. He like sold most of his guitar collection fairly recently, so his wife and he could go more mobile and kind of be nomads. But he kept that one for sure. But it's just the sustain of it, and it's his technique and his finger technique and usage. Just really, really cool. And then the other kind of signature of his that I find is just when you think he's kind of gone up high as he needs to serve the purpose of what he's trying to get out of that solo, then he takes it up a notch. And that just, I don't know, something about the guitar, the higher up you go on the neck when you hold those notes and make it sing, that just brings out so much emotion. All right, so then verse, chorus. Here's the second half of this solo. sounds like a jam session. It sounds like he's just ad-libbing, right? But the studio version of the solo is pretty similar. He stays really true to it. It's the way that they structured the song and crafted the song. All right. Number one, I knew the second that I was given this task that this would be number one. In fact, this solo many years ago now, I want to say 7, 8 years ago, Guitar Player Magazine, or maybe it's just Guitar Magazine. Every year they do a survey, best guitar solo of all time. And for like decades, Stairway to Heaven won. It was like the winning streak of all winning streaks. It was like the New England Patriots of guitar solos. And then someone new came along and won it several times after that and broke the streak. What's great about this is one guitar, it's another one where it kind of starts one way, starts a little slower, and then it really picks up. And when the change happens, it's from one player to the next. This is Alter Bridge. This is Blackbird. If you've never heard Alter Bridge before, this is their signature song. It's a little slower. Most of their stuff is a lot harder than this. It's Miles Kennedy, who also is the lead singer, playing the first part of the solo. And then it kicks in with Mark Tremonti. They do a lot of this on their records, and they play back and forth. They're great to see live. And just a note here, this is a special set of concerts they played a few years ago at Royal Albert Hall in London. They played 2 nights with the Parallax Symphony Orchestra, and then they put it together into a DVD. It's an unbelievable show all the way through. But this is that version of Blackbird by Alter Bridge. Solo has a little bit of everything in it. I love that they're both they're very different style of players. Miles, more of a bluesy, almost southern rock background. If you listen to his solo albums, there's some slide guitar and a lot more acoustic stuff. And then Mark, of course, comes from the background with Creed, and then his solo stuff is really, really hard. It's metal, essentially. Just, if you weren't familiar with Alter Bridge, can't recommend more that you check them out. And if you disagree with any of the other nine on my list, I would hope that you could agree with that one. Pretty damn great. All right. I wanted to throw a little curveball in there, give you a little bonus, not necessarily an honorable mention, but I just know that, again, when I started to conceive of this list, there were a couple bands, couple players and moments that popped into my head. And I knew that this was a band that I wanted to go back through. I hadn't listened to their stuff in a couple of months and sort of comb through their catalog. And this was one of the first songs I knew I needed to listen to. And I was like, yep, that's it. Another example of a solo, sort of like Bleed It Dry, that we saw at number 9 or number 8 there with Tremonti, where it starts off really slow and melodic, and then kicks into another gear and becomes a much faster, more intense solo. This is a band I can almost guarantee none of you have ever heard of. They're out of Germany. The great thing about the kind of music that I like, and I talk about on this channel a lot, is in Europe, they still make this kind of music and they're successful with it. It rules the airwaves. These bands do well. They make money touring. It's as if they just kind of held on to the late 80s, early 90s and decided not to let go of it when grunge came along, and they do it really well. There's 7, 8, 9, 10 bands, I think, that I listen to on a pretty regular basis from Europe that if they could go back in time and be in that genre, they'd be right there, maybe on the second level, maybe not up there with the Bon Jovis and Motley Crues and Def Leppards, but with the Warrants and the Dawkins and the Poisons, they'd be right there with them. Really, really good songwriting being done. And this guy is a great, great player. His name is Daniel Johansson. It might be Johansson. Because actually, are these guys German or are they Swedish? I think they're Swedish. If I misspoke, I'm sorry. The name of the band is Degreed. They have like 9 albums, huge catalog if you want to go check them out. This is a song called Lay Me Down. Tell you, doing something like this, even just driving around listening to music, that's my go-to in the car. I listen to it louder than I should. So I listen to it at the gym. Music's part of my daily life. And I get especially passionate about singing and guitar playing. 2 things that I spent many, many, many years trying to do well. And for a minute, I could sing okay, and then I got older and lost my upper register and whatever. But as far as a guitar player goes, it's a little bit of a dichotomy in my life. I get so much passion and pleasure listening to and appreciating great guitar playing, and I spent years trying to do it well and just couldn't. I think some people are just wired a certain way, put on this planet to do certain things. Was never a big believer in the idea that your parents try to tell you that anything you want to do, you can do. No, I tried really hard to be able to play guitar like that, and I just couldn't. These people are gifted. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you liked it. Thanks for asking me to do it. For those of you who were in on the Viewers' Choice Tournament, again, I'll be moving forward with this channel in a few days' time. Look for my blind reaction to Alter Bridge's new record. It's just called Alter Bridge. They went with the self-titled thing after all these years. There were 3 singles released in advance. And I listened to the first single a couple of times. The other 2 I purposely avoided because I knew I was going to do this. So if you're here for the first time, thank you so much. If you liked the video, if you're still here, I would imagine you kind of liked it. Hit that thumbs up for me. Hit subscribe so I can start to build this channel. I'd really appreciate that. And again, if you're one of those Patreon members who are members of Northwest Forever and the Discord and everything else and help to vote for this or just support me in any other way, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. It means the world to me as I am a full-time independent content creator. This was fun. I don't have a Twitter set up for this. It's just so hard to build a new Twitter account these days. But if you want to interact with me, at Seahawks Forever gives you a little hint of what I do full-time. You can catch me there. Thanks a lot, you guys. I'm Dan. We'll see you on the next Dan Reacts.